All right, it's time for Richard Kaplan and cleared for takeoff, except I got a huge problem I want to talk to Rich about. There's this huge problem on this iconic plane that must be rectified, and I'm really worried, what are they going to do? What am I talking about? Are you wondering? The New England Patriots private plane right now has 5 Lombardi trophies on it. But how many Super Bowls have they now won?
6.
So what are they going to do?
Put the 6th trophy on.
They better put that 6th Lombardi trophy on the Patriots plane, because they can't be flying with 5 Lombardi trophies on that plane. They must put 6 on that beautiful plane. So with that, I give you Rich Kaplan and cleared for takeoff.
Thank you, Howie. This week I want to talk about more problems plaguing Airbus than ever before. The A380 may very well go down in history as one of the biggest failures in aviation. The A380 was meant to solve one of the biggest problems in aviation, congestion, and it did in so many ways. The fact that you have a super jumbo that can accommodate 700 plus passengers. The problem is the airlines don't like it. Qantas has 12 in its fleet. They had 8 on order. They just announced they are canceling the order and going with Boeing for 787s and the new 777X. In addition, Emirates, who is their biggest customer, has a fleet of 100 of these A380s. They had about 100 more on order. Each jet is valued at around $750 million. That's $750 million. The problem is, what do you do with a plane like this? In Japan, it works because Japan has such a dense population that they can use 380s on domestic flights, say from Tokyo to Osaka. You can fill the aircraft, and you don't have to use so many planes in the process. But the problem is, here in the United States, the A380 is an abject failure. It's not a pretty-looking airplane. It's certainly not an elegant aircraft. I feel that the 747, when it came out 50 years ago to this date, Howie, we're celebrating the 50th anniversary, if you can believe, of the jumbo jet, the Queen of the Skies. The 747 is a success because of its size and because of its efficiency. You can adapt this aircraft so beautifully to so many different roles. It's a very smooth aircraft, and more important, it's not just that it's built in the United States. I don't care where it's built, to be honest with you, as long as it does the job it's supposed to do. And the 380 isn't living up to the reputation that it was supposed to. When it first came out, there was an engine explosion involving a Qantas A380 en route from Sydney, Australia to Singapore. And the Airbus's solution was to cover it up. Basically, deny plausibility, say, well, you worked it too hard, whatever. The fact of the matter is you can't work an airplane too hard. The key is they're designed to be worked hard. They're designed to last anywhere from 10 to 20 years, depending upon maintenance and depending upon the average amount of flight time. The 380s already, we've seen the first one go out to the Mojave Desert to be scrapped. And that's not good. The fact is that Airbus had a good idea with the Super Jumbo. You had a full double deck. It was a good idea. The problem is implementation. It wasn't the time for this airplane to be coming out, especially with the success of the Dreamliner. The Dreamliner is probably going to go down in history as the most successful commercial jet since the Boeing 737. And the 737 is a small aircraft, but yet if you go to the airports, that's all you see. Southwest, the reason they're so successful is that's all they fly is 737s. They love this airplane. It's easy to maintain, the turnaround time is quick, and the best part of all, it's an attractive looking aircraft. It's not ugly. The A380, you look at this aircraft and you wonder, how the hell does something this big get off the ground? But it does. The reality is, it's not a bad plane. I mean, the fly-by-wire technology is good. The avionics is good. The fact that you can link a laptop computer and run all of your programs right off of a laptop. And the pilots for Lufthansa love this airplane, Howie. The thing is, it's not practical. You go to JFK, you see all the airplanes that are there. You see most of them are Boeings. There's a reason for that. It's not because Boeing builds them better, it's because Boeing builds them smarter. And this week's segment is going to focus on why the United States is so successful in commercial aviation. Because we know what the airlines want. Because we take the time to listen. We actually ask pilots, what do you want in an airplane? And they tell us. And then we go out and we build it. And we build it good. Yeah, the 787 had the battery problem. Look how fast we solved that problem, Howie. You had all these airlines grounding Dreamliners, but yet it was a lithium-ion diode in the battery that was exploding. We fixed it. Airbus is so large that it takes a consortium of scientists and engineers to figure out a problem. That's not how you build an airplane. The way you build an airplane is you listen. You take the time to listen to your customers, to listen to what the passengers want, listen to what the flying public wants. And that is why Boeing is so insanely successful, because they listen, they get it, they go out and they build it. Yeah, the 747-8's not successful. The Intercontinental, unfortunately, only 3 airlines fly it, Korean Air China and Lufthansa. The reason why it's not successful is because Airbus came out with the 380. The airlines went for the 380 thinking, okay, this is going to solve the demographic of how do we fly large quantities of people from A to B. But it didn't solve that problem. Instead, it created a new problem, congestion at the airports. A lot of airports can't accommodate these planes. You go to JFK, you have Korean, you have Lufthansa, you have Asiana. Asiana pulled the 380 because of the congestion issue. Now it's a 350. You have Emirates, which flies, I believe, 3 380s a day, possibly 4. The problem is that the plane is so large, it requires a lot of space to operate. It requires multiple decks of those portable gates to unload and load passengers efficiently. The turnaround time is not so great. I'm not a fan of it, personally speaking. I'm not trashing it. I'm just saying that it could have been done better. If Boeing wanted to, they could have built a double-decker just like the 380, but the reason it would be successful is because the pilots would have input. The pilots would have total input. I also don't like the fact that the Airbus is a consortium of companies all over the world. You don't really have that hands-on operation that you do with Boeing. Yeah, Boeing, to build the 747, requires numerous countries to contribute parts to the aircraft. The same with Airbus. But what the difference is Boeing is taking the time to research each part and each component. They're taking the time to actually go out and test these aircraft and test them over and over and over again. I remember watching a documentary on the 380, Howie, where they were testing A380s in Siberia. Yeah, Airbus did its homework, and I'm not going to knock them. But the problem is, you have an airplane now that the airlines don't want. What do? You build the A350 as a quick fix. The problem is the A350 is no 787. There is nothing like the 787. There is a reason all the airlines are going for these planes and going for them in large numbers. Qantas had the 747 flying from New York to Sydney via Los Angeles. A beautiful airplane, the 747-400. They pulled that plane out of service and replaced it with a 787. The passengers are happy, the airline is happy, the numbers speak for itself, the revenue stream is good. The second longest flight in the world is operated by a Boeing 787. It is from London, England to Perth, non-stop. This is a twin-engined airplane, not four-engine, twin-engined. And yet it is so fuel efficient, it's going to revolutionize the way we fly. So the way I look at it, Howie, is that unless Airbus can come up with another solution or pilots can come up with ideas, I don't see Airbus succeeding. I see Boeing becoming the dominant manufacturer of commercial jets for the 21st century. And I want to send a quick shout out to my best friend in Tampa, Julie. We miss you, we wish you were here, and I know you were sorely missed at the Polar Bear Swim. Hopefully you'll be back next year to do it with us.
Okay, Richard, great job.